Boxing truth here. Well, this is interesting. Floyd Mayweather is sending his prized pupil, Gervonta Davis, over to the UK on the road for his first title defense. Davis has to make an appearance on UK soil to make a mandatory defense against Liam Walsh, a Frank Warren promoted fighter, in a co-promotional deal between Mayweather Promotions and Queensberry Promotions, Box Nation, BT Sport. And it's interesting that Mayweather is deciding to send over his prize people over to the UK. He doesn't have to. It's not like Gervonta Davis is lacking any promotional power. He could simply have a fight in the United States, or perhaps they could have went through with the purse bid, see if they can win the bid to get Davis defend his title in his home country instead of going on the road and going to hostile territory to fight his mandatory on Liam Walsh. Davis is doing something in his very first defense that Mayweather never did in his entire career, which is going into foreign soil and taking on the mandatory challenger or a number one contender in a completely different part of the world. And it shows that boxing is really changing by the day. It's a lot different now compared to when Mayweather was coming up in the ranks. The money in the UK is now very strong. The interest in the sport is bigger than it's ever been. You got all these networks in the UK just interested in boxing. You got Frank Warren's new deal with BT Sport. He still has the Box Nation platform. You got Channel 5. You got ITV looking to get into boxing. They put on their first pay-per-view event. You still got Sky Sports doing their thing. So Sky Sports is no longer the only show in town. They have competition. Boxing is really driving the UK, and it just seems that Frank Warren put in a substantial offer, an offer that Mayweather couldn't refuse, to have Davis come over to fight one of Warren's fighters in Liam Walsh for the 130-pound IBF title, in Davis' first defense of his strap that he won from Jose Pedraza earlier this year. So it's good that Mayweather is keeping Davis active, getting him back in the ring within 4 months. He has to go on the road and make a rare mandatory defense on the road. And it'll be an interesting event. It's a co-promoted fight. Mayweather expanding his reach, looking for other markets. Of course, this fight wouldn't really do much business in the United States. Just the markets is dry in the United States right now. Boxing is not booming in the U.S. right now. There's only 2 networks in the United States that will pay big money for boxing, and that's HBO and Showtime. And HBO has been falling off lately. So you only got HBO and Showtime in the United States that will pay big money to promoters for boxing, and that's pretty much it. ESPN has shown little interest in boxing. None of the networks that Al Heyman has bought time with haven't really expressed much interest. Only Spike TV so far are providing license fees for Al Heyman's product of the PBC. So Mayweather is looking for other markets, looking to set up shop in the UK. He will have to sign some UK fighters, I suppose. But now he's going to risk one of his premium fighters in Gervonta Davis. But I looked at his opponent in Liam Walsh, the mandatory challenger for his belt, and I'm not impressed. I only saw a few rounds of Liam Walsh's last fight. He's an okay fighter, decent. You know, he could box a little bit. He's a switch hitter. He can box from both stances. But I don't see anything special. I don't see much power. I don't see much speed. I don't see much athleticism. He's very flawed defensively. He's got some defensive issues. And it's a risk to send Davis to the UK. He could, possibly get screwed. He could get robbed. There could be some suspect officiating, some home cooking from the referee. It's never the smartest move for an American promoter to send a prize people over there to the UK, as the UK could be Could also be some fuck shit going on. The referee protecting the home fighter, home cooking stoppages, home cooking decisions. So it's always a risk to send an American fighter over to UK to fight one of their own. But Davis is, I believe, head over heels better than Leon Walsh. He's more explosive. He's much faster. He's the more skilled fighter. He's the stronger fighter. He's more athletic. He's more dynamic offensively. And Gervonta Davis is here to stay. There's a lot to like about Davis. Now, when it comes to Leon Walsh as the opponent, I would say he's better than the majority of Davis's opponents throughout his career. Davis was matched very soft prior to the fight with Pedraza, which was considered a pretty big step up because of the competition Davis was fighting. He was fighting a lot of waste men, faded guys with nothing left, no hopers, and guys that just pretty much lay down for him. But Davis really impressed me in his last fight. Got the stoppage, showed his counterpunching abilities, his skills, his boxing skills, and he brings a lot to the table. He's an exciting fighter. Looking forward to watching him continue his journey as IBF champion, and I believe the journey will continue. It's a risk for Mayweather to send him over there, but he's not fighting, I would say, a top talent or a top 130-pounder. He's just a number one contender for his belt, and it's a good stay busy fight. Get the mandatory out of the way, then he can pursue other options if he's victorious come May 20th at the Copper Box Arena, I believe. But it's an interesting fight in terms of the event. Frank Warren will be the lead promoter. They're going to be putting it on his network, and Davis will get a chance to fight overseas and really become the true definition of a world champion, fighting on the road, fighting in the UK, fighting in hostile territory, and it'll be a different atmosphere, and it'll be a much different fight for him compared to his last fight. He'll be fighting in a totally different part of the world under hostile territory, and it'll be a good test to see how he reacts to the crowd environment, fighting in a different country, and I believe he's gonna continue his reign as IBF champion. Leon Walsh is an okay fighter, but I don't see anything too dangerous or anything too. I don't see any upset special brewing here, but not a bad fight. Good first defense for Gervonta Davis, fulfilling his mandatory obligation, which was really Pedraza's mandatory obligation, but he was able to get an exemption from the IBF to fight Davis instead, and now he's left with Pedraza's mandatory obligation that Davis has to fulfill. I believe he'll get through this defense in impressive fashion. Davis's reign is going to continue, and we'll see where his career goes, as he has an upcoming assignment on the road for his first title defense. Surprising move by Mayweather, something he would have never done in his career. But perhaps he's looking for the best offer possible on the table, and that's Frank Warren's offer for Davis to come over to the UK to defend his strap. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.